CDs, shirts, stickers, patches, and accessories between Chicago and Los Angeles. From the pit to the ditch, they got your back. Get in touch with them at www.chainreactionrecords.com. Also, our good friends at New York Hardcore Comics. They opened back in 2013 when lifelong friends Debo the Pro and Lee Fraley combined their collections and obsessions for comic books, punk rock, toys, statues, magic, The Gathering, and all things horror. The store is located at 117 Main Street in Dobbs Ferry, New York. If you want to support them during this pandemic, the never-ending pandemic, please contact them via email at newyorkhardcorecomics@gmail.com. Also, want to quickly mention a couple of shows coming up. This Wednesday, by popular demand. All right. Fabio in Brazil. All right. What's happening, Fabio? Yo, shouting out all our friends in Brazil for today's show. Looking forward to hearing and from everybody in Brazil. There you go. And in Poland. Yo, from Poland to Brazil and everywhere in between. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles live, you know? Yes, Ciro, it is going to be an awesome episode because you're watching, bro. That's what I'm excited you're watching, Ciro. So that said, coming up on the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, as if I haven't said that enough already. This Sunday, Mina Caputo on the show. There you go. Excuse me. This Wednesday, I take that back. This Wednesday, today's Sunday, this Wednesday from Life of Agony, Mina Caputo. A week from today, Philadelphia Represent, Chuck Treese from McRad Underdog. And as some of you may know, he actually played in the Bad Brains for a bit. A week from Wednesday, the rescheduled Sean Taggart show, which a lot of people are excited about. And then, of course, Sunday, February 7th, the one, the only, Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed, the 100th episode. Can you believe it? 100 It's actually been 100 already if you consider all the bonus shows, but we won't go there. You know who I want to shout out? I want to shout out Al Burrill from SSD Control, who sent me a bunch of cool SSD Control stuff, a bunch of stickers and guitar picks and shirts, including the pink. The pink. I got a yellow one, but he sent me the pink SSD Control. How much art can you take? As you may know, SSD Control, first hardcore band I ever saw, and a band that really, really influenced me, and that I love very much. I look younger with the beard. Okay, well that's what we're going for here. We're trying to look younger in this world at this point. What's up, Brazil? Wow, get your Brazil on. Yep. So I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking the same thing. What's going on with the hardcore shutterbug, Stephen Messina?
Hello.
Hello.
What's up there?
Oh. What are you wearing? What are you wearing? A cap in the house? I thought I was the only one that does that.
You know, I want to let my hair down. You know. There we go.
You and me both. Right?
Yep. So yeah, nice and a beautiful 22-degree day in New York today.
Listen, separates the bees from the wannabes, New York City.
That's for sure.
You know, I lived in Vermont for a couple years. Boy, that was rough, man. Broke my marriage, bro.
Oof. Digging out your car in the snow, I can imagine.
Man, it was brutal, man. Living like close to the Canadian border, it was basically winter 10 months out of the year, you know? So that said, let's get it on. Let's do photo of the day. I'm ready. You're ready. We're ready. Photo of the day. I see our guest wants some SSD merch. I got you, bro. He sent me so much stuff. I'll send you some. He sent me a box of stuff. If you're watching, Al, we got to hook up our guest with some merch. But I got you. Let's do photo of the day. Wrong answers only, please. Here we go. Is Steven wearing a food truck shirt? Is that for real? They use
It
the
is.
agnostic front boots?
These are my friends, Chacho's Tacos out of Corpus Christi, Texas. The back of the shirt says, "Tacos are my business, and business is fine."
You know,
They're awesome. They're great.
Rat Bones is chiming in, says it's cold as a witch's tit in New York City.
Oh yeah,
Is a witch's tit cold?
it's a very
I
good
love that
question.
saying. It's cold as a witch's tit. I love that, bro. That one resonates with me. A good cold tit. I love that. Because I like, I'll be honest with you, I like girls. I like tits too. So like, a cold tit is sort of appealing to me.
It's refreshing on a summer day.
A good cold tit every now and then, a hot ass, a cold tit, So, all right, enough silliness, and let's just hope that the girl I'm dating is not watching the show right now. So here we go. Wrong answers only. Here we go. Boom. What do we got here? Oh, a band name. A witch's tit. That's a good one. Cold as a witch's tit. We are cold as a witch's tit. Cold as flan. Here we go. Cold as a witch's tit in a brass bra. Okay. Is it sick of it all? Close. Is it striper?
They got on the first guess. I can't believe it.
Is it bad manners? Is it Lurch from the Addams Family?
You rang.
You rang. What was his name, that actor? Ted, was that Ted? What was Lurch's name? I saw him on a Star Trek episode recently.
Oh, really?
Ted. Yeah, he was also in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He had a role in that. Somebody out there, look up, what was Lurch Ted Cassidy? Was that it? Great character actor. Ted Cassidy.
There was that great Addams Family video with him and Wednesday dancing where they dubbed the Bad Brains over it on the video.
Ted Cassidy, Astoria Lou with the assist. Ted Cassidy. Is it Poison? Is it Ted Cassidy? Is it Cinderella? Very good. Is it Ted Bundy and the Killers? Is it Kiss?
Ted Bundy and the Killers is a good band name.
Is it? I love it. The Human Falafel. Is it Bad Brains in the albino years? All right, here's a winner. Is it Siegfried and Roy? That's great.
One of those two guys just died, actually.
Oh wait, no. Is it Winger, or as they say in Germany, Winger?
Winger.
So, yep. Is it Right Said Fred? Okay. Here's all close. This is a good one. Is it Tommy James and the Shondells? Good. You're good. You're good. Ren and Stimpy. All right.
My favorite cartoon of all time.
Really?
Love Ren and Stimpy.
Hold on. You sent me another one. Hold on.
Yeah.
Photo of oh boy. Yeah, sure. Here we go. Yeah, boy. Some people just look better with age, don't they? Here we go. There's another shot. Is it Enough's Enough? Is it Devo? Is it No Effects?
There are no effects on that photo.
Yeah, there are no effects on that photo. Is it Eurythmics? Is it Bobby? Yes, it is Bobby. Yep. This is true. All right. Enough silliness, kids. Here we go with the third photo. Right answers only, please. Here is one of our heroes of this genre. Here we go. There you go.
There he is.
Right answers only. Is it Larry King? Larry King? No, I don't think it's Larry King. Is it Biohazard the Later Years? Is it Biohazard Hamble and Graziade? Is it Billy? Is it Biohazard? Is it Biohazard? Is it Billy? Is it Biohazard?
Is it Billy Biohazard?
Is it Stevie Ray Vaughan? That's good.
All right, then.
All right. Listen.
The answer is, it is Biohazard. It is later period Biohazard. This, in my opinion, was the best post-Evan Biohazard show I ever saw. And this was Black and Blue Ball 2014 at the Well in Brooklyn, which I thought was a fantastic location for a Black and Blue Ball. And I only went the first night. I know that I think Discharge headlined the second night, but the first night was Hatebreed, Agnostic Front, Cause for Alarm era, Biohazard, Ludachrist, All Out War, Stigmata, -1, thank you, Darkside NYC, Naysayer, Sworn Enemy, Brick by Brick, Blaine Slug, Friend or Foe, and Numbskull. That was a day. That was a beautiful day. And I didn't go the second night. I think I had a family thing. But
I went both nights. It was great. Biohazard was great.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Biohazard. I thought Biohazard was just, they were great. This lineup was great.
Killed it that night. They were so good that night. They really were. And you know what? Billy taking full command, after, all the years with kind of Billy and Evan going back and forth, I thought he just seemed really comfortable just like steering the ship, and it was great. They killed. This was my favorite Biohazard show, with that lineup for sure.
It was great. They had it going on, man. Billy was sort of the front guy, and Scott Roberts was the Evan guy, and tonight the role of Evan Seinfeld will be played by Scott Roberts. But hey, it all worked. It certainly worked out for Scott Roberts because he left Biohazard and started the Take, and the Take is great.
And he actually played guitar and bass in Biohazard. I mean,
that's right. He was. Tonight the role of Bobby Hamble will be played by Scott Roberts, and then later Evan. Yeah,
he was.
I'm a big Scott Roberts fan.
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
He's great. I love the Take. I directed 2 of their videos. I'm a big fan.
I think that Take show is really the spark of where we are right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's triggered A7, and here we are.
That's true. And Bernardo says Evan's heart wasn't in it for a long time. In 2009, saw him mistreat fans, really disappointing. I don't know about Evan mistreating fans or anything like that. I'm not going to comment on that, but I do know his heart wasn't in it. He told me that his heart wasn't in it. And listen, you can't knock someone when their heart's not in it.
Yep.
His heart wasn't in it. He moved on and did something else with his life. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. So, all right. Well, cool. Yeah, we're going to talk about some Biohazard on the show, a little more in the show. That's
absolutely.
That's going to be happening. But yeah. So look, man, we might end up doing we might just do Sundays eventually.
You know what? It's quality, not quantity.
So now, we'll just do a big long Sunday show, and we'll do bonus shows. We'll do like 2 a month on Wednesdays, but
absolutely.
Yeah, so all right, bro. I will see you in a bit.
You got it, and I got to shout out Daryl, who's sitting where he does not belong. By the way,
he you know why he knows. He knows. Hold on.
I can't get to him right now.
Yeah, right. Hold exactly. All right, I'll see you
as soon as you turn me off, I'm tossing them right off the goddamn shelf.
There you go. All right, talk to you soon.
Later.
There you go. You asked for it, you got it. That said, let me think. Think everything's covered. I'm not going to get into anything else. I'm excited about bringing our guest on. And so that said, let's get it on. Today's guest is a musician who hails from Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Am I saying it? Belo Horizonte, Brazil. He's known for his work with the groups Nail Bomb, Strife, Massacration, and Soul Wax. However, having played on 11 studio albums He is perhaps best known as the former drummer for the band Sepultura, which he co-founded with his brother Max, whom he now plays with in the Cavalera Conspiracy. In addition, he currently is one half of the DJ duo Mixhell, a project he founded with his wife, Lima Layton. Coming at us from London, England, please welcome an absolute pioneer, our old friend, and we're thrilled to have him on the show, Igor Cavallara. What's up?
Yo, what's up?
My man, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
How's
Finally,
London?
I'm on the show, huh?
What's that?
Finally, I made it.
Listen, man, I know you watch the show, and I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
I really do.
I'm a big fan.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. That means a lot to me, man. And you know, it really does. So let's just jump into it. I know you're in London now, and that's where you're living.
Yep.
What was happening when the zombie apocalypse hit? Did you guys have shows? Like, how did the world change for you?
It was crazy because I just had played a show in Mexico with my brother, with Max, and a huge festival. And I have to say, things start to, fall as far as like certain gigs getting canceled. And next thing I know, it's been pretty much a whole year of cancellations of shows and all other stuff. But I'm not going to be here complaining because a lot of people are in this situation and some people are even doing worse than we are.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to keep as positive as possible. So I've been creative in many other levels, a lot of studio work, a lot of collaborations here and there with friends. So that's what's important. It's keeping our mental health going. And also, this is a big chance for a lot of people to be closer to their family. So that's also really cool, man. I've been touring since I'm 14, 15. So to spend a whole year at home for me, it's quite amazing also. So yeah, so I'm going to keep on the positive vibes. Where
were you doing? I'm looking for were you doing with your brother? Were you doing the what was the Beneath the Arise?
Yeah.
Explain what that was.
Well, we had this idea, me and Max, at one point, and it's quite a funny story because Max hit me up and he was like, "Oh man, I want to do Roots. It's gonna be a certain amount of years since we did the album." And at first, as a lot of people know me, I'm not a huge fan of going back to the past and redoing. I like to move forward. And then I was like, let me think about it. And about a week later, Black Flag played here as Flag.
Oh, I saw that, man. I saw that.
Yeah,
Woo!
they play at the Underworld, which is a venue here in London, if people are familiar. It's a smaller venue. And they absolutely killed. They played all the songs I wanted to see. And like it was an amazing lineup, and the set list was impeccable. And after that, I picked up the phone and I called Max and I was like, man, if someone comes out of my show, the way I was happy to see Black Flag, which is a band that I didn't have a chance to see in Brazil, then I want to do this because, that was worth a lot of this, getting together cannot be as cool. They were amazing, I have to say, and that inspired me to do it. We did that for a bit.
You did the Roots thing first?
Yeah, we started with the Roots, and then we had this crazy offers from Europe to do Beneath the Remains and Arise, and that's the flyer right there for the last tour we did. And it's been cool, Like it's something that me and my brother, we still love playing those songs that we wrote.
Yeah.
And it brings a lot of cool memories of us growing up, being kids, riding in our garage. A lot of those riffs, it was me and Max just like going back and forth, so that was cool to go back and do that.
I assume in a lot of ways that a couple of these songs really haven't been played in years by Max, or even when the Sepultura split thing happened. Like some of these songs you were revisiting for the first time in many years, right?
Some of it ever, man.
Oh, some stuff you never played.
That stuff that we do on this tour that we never played live.
Oh, that's cool, man.
So that was pretty cool. Also, as a musician, to have to go back and play something that it's not something that you used to play live over and over. It was kind of almost like I have to relearn some of the stuff from the record. So that was pretty cool also.
You have to relearn some of the stuff that you did when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
and when you were just raw, unbridled energy. You know?
Exactly, man. And then try to recreate that.
Yeah, at 50 years old.
It was a kick in the ass, man.
Oh, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about how you came up, you know, where you grew up, and how did music come into your life?
I mean, it's a funny one because drums came into my life before any idea of a band. I've been playing the drums since I'm like 6 years old. Mm-hmm. And the first things that I love about drums were these rhythms that came from Africa to Brazil called samba. Mm-hmm. And then I used to go to a lot of football games with my dad and my brother. And they have this people playing samba during the games. That's pretty big in Brazil. Yeah.
At the football games, there's sort of like drum battles between
exactly.
the teams, right? Yeah.
And
we
in
don't
Brazil,
have that in the States.
Yeah, and that was huge in the 70s and stuff like where, and I remember like sometimes I would go to the stadium and not watch the game at all, just watch the people playing as like a little kid. And then from that, after playing drums for years, just playing samba, a crazy cousin of me and Max, which is like more like a hippie cousin. Yeah, he took me and Max to see Queen in 1981. And they were playing this football stadium in Brazil. And after we saw that the idea of having a band became solid. But then again, I was already playing the drums, so Max had to go for the guitar. And that was the beginning of everything, man.
Wow. Let me and I quote you. I remember the first time I listened to Venom, it was on a friend's borrowed tape. It was similar to Motorhead, only a lot heavier. I remember someone saying it's the devil's Motorhead. After we got acquainted with Venom, we stopped listening to Iron Maiden and all that lighter stuff. How did the heavy music, you know, come into your orbit down there?
Let me try to put a little bit more into context where we, for example, me and Max, we used to grab like an album from one of those bands like Iron Maiden or before, you know, Venom and all that stuff. And I remember like we would pick out like 3 songs and it'll be like, these 3 songs are insane. Uh-huh. And then they had a ballad and then they had something else. And we would be like, fuck that. You know, like we were like, oh man, even bands like, for example, like Deep Purple, for example, they had some cool tracks, but then in the middle of the records, there was a lot of stuff that we didn't dig.
Yeah.
Of course, nowadays I appreciate all of that. But back in the days when you're like a 12-year-old,
13 years old, right?
All you want is raw power.
That's right.
And that was it. So when bands like Venom, Hellhammer, and then later like Discharge and all that stuff, they were delivering only what we wanted. They were trimming all the fat.
Yeah.
And keeping it like straight, like hard stuff, you know?
And this stuff was filtering down to where you guys were living in Brazil?
Yeah, it's crazy because, again, like we would get tapes that sometimes would be recorded like over and over. And by the time we get it, the quality will be completely bad. But we still had the energy of it. And there's even a funnier story where the first time we heard Halting the Chapel from Slayer, it was someone that dubbed the tape for me and Max, but he dubbed in the wrong speed. So because it was an EP, it was in 45, so he dubbed on 33. So it did sound like Venom, like Slayer. And I remember we're like, wow, man, Slayer is like slowing down. This is crazy. And then later on, we walked into a record store and they were playing the album. And we're like, dude, that's not the same record. They're like, yeah. And we're like, no, but the shit's way slower. They're like, no, man, you got the wrong shit. So
that's funny.
So those are the times pre-internet, pre-everything, prehistoric, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's something that, I mean, It's like Lars talks about how with the tape trading days, you get a dub of a dub of a dub of a dub, you know, and that was that network. And, you know, that early sort of, in lack of a better term, I'll say thrash network with Metallica and Testament and Exodus and all those. My cousin was a big tape trader. There was a whole, you know, we had our hardcore thing, but the thrash world had this incredible network of tape traders.
Yeah, and funny enough, like because we were from Brazil, we were tape trading with different, not like just the trash, but we're tape trading, for example, with Chuck from Death in Florida. And then I remember we exchanged tapes also with the guys from COC back in the days.
Oh, with with the
drummer who passed away not long ago. You know, like we used to exchange stuff with him way back. Another guy who used to do a lot of stuff, it was Pusshead.
Oh yeah.
Which he wrote for like Thrasher, and then I remember exchanging letters with him. I even have a tattoo of one of his designs because of that.
Well, you know what? You know, funny you should say that, because, you know, we talked about SSD Control and Al sent me the stuff. And of course, you know, but the second record had a Pusshead cover.
See, that's insane, man.
Yeah. So this is a Pusshead cover for SSD Control, Get It Away. And Pusshead was a guy, there was a little bit of cross pollination here with a guy like Pusshead, who went on to do Metallica stuff, you know?
Yeah, he became huge at one point, but if you look at his early stuff, he was like, you know, like he was like the connection between especially all the darker stuff, you know, from punk.
For sure. And by the way, that was Reed Mullen that we spaced on his name. That was Reed Mullen, who drummed for COC, who sadly passed away.
Yeah.
So 1984, you're like 12, 13 years old. Sepultura forms with you and your brother. What was the impetus for that?
We just wanted to play some music that it was different from everything else, man. And I have to say, like in the city that we were, there were some metal bands, but they were like more in that Iron Maiden kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And I remember the first show we did at Sepultura, it was me, Max, and this guy who was a singer who ended up going to this band Sarcophago, like a black metal band he formed later. But it was just the three of us. And I remember that everyone hated us. The only guy who liked us, it was this punk rocker who was drunk. And he thought that we were great. But all the metal guys completely hate what we were doing. It was too weird, you know, at the time.
It happens, right? Is this, I know this is a little bit later, but this is an early incarnation, correct?
Yeah, this is like a little later than that show that I mentioned.
Yeah.
But that's like from the first record we did, Bestial Devastation. That's the EP. That's the lineup for it. And
what was the original guitar player's name there? That's the kid in the front, right?
Yeah, that's Jairo, which now he has a band called Troops of Doom, who are amazing.
That's right.
So yeah, so that's our first original guitar player.
That's cool. Yeah. One thing I noticed is that you guys got up and running pretty quick and got into the recording studio, and like you were very proficient early on. You kind of got in and did like a recording, and you guys were recording every couple of months. How did you come by that? I mean, because the other thing I want to ask you about was instruments. I remember talking to you, years ago, and like you guys actually had a hard time getting decent instruments to play, right? And equipment.
That was a big thing in Brazil at the time because they had so many taxes on instruments coming from America or Europe. That was almost impossible to get good stuff. So all the stuff that you hear on the first records that we did, and that's like the singer guy who went to do the other stuff. So that's like one of the first few pictures of us.
Wow, look at that, huh?
Yeah. So the instruments, as you can see, if you look at the drums, they are like even like the cymbal stands. One of it's like the broomstick or stuff like that. So it's very raw, man.
and even I assume, you know, like the guitar, like your brothers, this guitar and bass were you know, playing in really inferior instruments. That had to
yeah, and that's why it sounds like shit the first few. As simple as that.
You're right. It sounds like shit, and it will never be duplicated.
No, man, that was the instruments that we had. The whole thing, it sounded like that. Impossible to recreate.
Yeah, it was a sign. It was a sign of the times, and you know, I think that you know, early on, I know a little bit of you guys coming up. I mean, those early days, printing your own shirts and stuff like that, right?
Well, there's even crazier stuff where we didn't print our first few shirts. I used to paint them by hand.
Nice.
And then we used to send them out. And there's like a few pictures of Chuck from Death wearing like a Sepultura shirt, which I painted by hand. So it's not even like a screen print.
Wow.
It was handmade, and it was like one of a kind.
Yeah, screen prints were that was another. That
was like you're already a poser if you had that.
It's so true, because even in hardcore, I should grab one of the photos. But you look at these early hardcore photos, and hold on,
it was all handmade, right?
Everything,
like the jackets, the t-shirts.
Yeah, I want to find one. Let's see if I could see. Here we go. Bingo, right off the bat. Damn, when you're good, you're good. Here's a shot. Actually, this is a good one. Boy, sometimes you just throw it against the wall, right? Here's a good one. Hold on. Here we go. Here's a shot from 1981 at the media workshop in Boston. This is probably a SSD Control show, but you could see the guy on the left has a shirt. I'm sick of things the way they are. It's about time we had a change. That's the guitar player from the FUs. The guy that you could see, I think it's something, We're Pussies, and then that Jay Johnson has Zero Boys. Now that's me in the front with something. I don't know what's on my hand, but same thing. That's me wearing the classic sweatpants and combat boots. Amazing. In the mix there in 1981. But that's everyone, even the kid in the back there with the black flag. Yeah, black flag rules. It's a homemade shirt. It's all homemade.
Those are the days, man.
Yep.
That's so cool. That's an amazing picture, man.
Crazy, right? I just randomly fucking grabbed that. But yeah, but that's what you did, and you made homemade shirts, and if you made anything else, you're a poser.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like that, but
still, at one
point, that was a thing where people are like, "Oh, now you're gonna sell your stuff? Come on, man! It should be all handmade."
It's one thing to do it yourself. It's sort of like it makes it's DIY, you know?
Yeah, for real, man.
Yeah, for sure. Was it? I mean, I assume it was very difficult to get respect early on. And how the hell did you guys break out of your area? I mean, how did you? I mean, it's an incredible story, man, that you guys did it, man.
Well, I have to say that also at the same time that we had like a very small following when we started, those followers, we were like a cult to them.
Yeah.
So that was easy, because even though like we would play and it would be 5 kids, those kids absolute worship what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you enough strength to continue. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. So people sometimes don't realize that, again, it's not about the numbers, but it's about like the passion behind it.
And how did you first record? I mean, how did that come to be? Was it, hey, we want to sign you, or like, how did you get into the recording studio initially?
Well, we had a few demos that they were recorded completely. Like, we went into a few studios and with whatever money we had, but then there was this record store in our hometown who saw one of our live performances and then wanted to do a split, and they wanted to pay for it. and that was the split between us and this band Overdose from Belo Horizonte, and that was the first release ever we did. It was that split, and there was like a record store from our hometown who was a place that we used to hang out all the time, and they got behind it, and then they were the first one to believe in us.
Makes sense. Here is what I think this is that, right? You guys, there we are. I like, there's a bunch of shots of you guys. I love the standing in front of the water effect, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as you can see, that's later on, like that's already like 86, I would say.
Okay.
But you can see that I'm wearing a COC t-shirt, which was a one that we exchanged with Reed, the drummer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but those are way back, man.
And the white high tops.
Yeah, but we're already posers there.
Yeah, right. It's done. You're wearing the white high tops, and
that's it, man. We already sell out.
It's a done deal. And this one kind of confuses me. Hold on. Who's the dude? Who's the guy? The other blonde guy with the glasses?
That's Andreas.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. He's pulling that Zakk Wylde look, like posing day.
I see. I was confused. Another blondie, huh?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, crazy. So, when did let's talk about coming to New York, man.
Yeah. So let's just before we go, this shirt that Max is wearing.
The shirt that Max is wearing. Let me see. Hold on.
The yellow one on this.
Yeah.
I painted that one by hand also.
I like the Dead Kennedys Nazi Punks Fuck Off shirt.
But that's also painted by hand. I did.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's a funny story with this also, because there's some old pictures where I was wearing a t-shirt, like not only me, but me, Paulo, sometimes Max, with the swastika on. Which is a lot of people like, dude, what the hell are you guys doing?
Right.
But as you know, at those times in 1982, 83, punk was pretty big. And Sid Vicious had like a t-shirt with a swastika. And we, as stupid kids, thought it was cool to wear that. And I remember that one point, one of our friends from a different band, Dorsal, he came up to us and he was like, guys, this is not shocking. This is stupid. And then from that day on, we never wore the shirt again. But that was a thing at punk at that time where, oh, we want to shock the world. We want to wear this. But it was just plain stupid,
Hey, it's hard in the current world to put your head back, into the mentality of the 50s or the 60s or the 70s and what was going on at that moment. I think, in this life, we have a tendency to, use today's sort of consciousness and try to put it to, but it's a different world. It was a whole different thing. And
I think the most important thing and lesson about this is you need to learn and you need to evolve as a human. Yeah. And that's why I think, like education is so important. So people can be educated and they can know about history, about those things in a deeper context. Not just wearing for the fact of shocking values. There's a lot more behind this,
Absolutely. Let's talk about. May asks, do you guys still have any of those shirts?
I might have a few of those shirts at my mom's house because she has a Sepultura museum at her house.
Is that right?
Yeah, man. My mom, she collects a lot of. I don't collect anything. I give everything to my friends.
Yeah, that's like me. I do the same.
Yeah, I'm that kind of a guy. Even all my gold records, they are all on my friends' walls. I don't have any of them.
Wow. Let's talk about you guys coming to New York for the first time. Now, I thought that. Let me find. I thought that this was. Hold on. Where is that? I'm determined. Oh, here we go. Found it. I always thought that this was your first show in the States, the Rock Hotel at the Ritz. Am I correct?
No, that wasn't. I mean, it was pretty close.
Uh-huh.
But we had a smaller gig before that one, which was at this club called Zone DK.
Yeah, that's where I met you guys there. I didn't know you played.
Yeah, we played there, and it was us. I think Wargasm was one of the bands.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like crazy, and that was like at this S&M club.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hold on. Because that was what I was leading into. Hold on. Zone DK, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. Zone DK. Here we go. This is when I was in Antidote, we would play Zone DK all the time. Here it is. Zone DK on was it 20 on 540 West 21st Street, Zone DK. Now, I remember meeting you and your brother at Zone DK. Now, I remember it because the guys I was hanging with, one of them, which is Laz Pina and his brother Rick Pina, they play in Il Nino, in the band Il Nino. They were excited and they were talking to you. And I remember actually, meeting you. All these guys are from, and I actually met you in Zone DK. Yep.
See?
I guess you were probably playing the next night.
Maybe, yeah, because it was during the convention they used to have in New York.
Yeah, the New Music Seminar.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons that we played there, because it was like a Roadrunner thing where they put together like a last minute kind of thing before the big show at the Ritz.
I see. Was let me find that flyer again. We'll circle back to the Roadrunner thing, but I played some of the video to open the show. That was from this show. Tell us a little bit about coming and getting on the big stage, because this was actually the new Ritz, which was the building that housed the legendary Studio 54. It was a big stage. It was a legendary venue. Any memories of this? I mean, playing with King Diamond and Sacred Reich, that must have been exciting.
Yeah, and if you look at it, it's Halloween.
Right.
So that was even crazier.
October 31st. Yep.
Yeah, so it was like Halloween night. We're playing at the Ritz, where, again, I remember watching all the videos, especially like the combat videos, where they had like all these bands playing at the Ritz. And it was a dream for us, to be on that stage. And
was that the first time you guys were in New York City?
Yeah. It was the first time, and we were staying at this girl's dorm. We didn't even have like a hotel or anything like that. We were staying at this girl's dorm, like all of us sleeping on the floor. So that was like the treatment we had from Roadrunner.
Hey, but still, getting to play with King on Halloween, that was
amazing, man. That was insane. Such a great show, and again, it was a crazy night because everyone was dressed up.
Yeah,
and it was like nuts. But also another funny story. I don't know if you know about it. During that same week, around the time, me and Max went to CBGB's to watch a gig.
Yeah, I think I heard a little bit about this story. If you want to talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, so we went there to see COC and the Iceman.
Wow.
And I remember, like, me and him, we were like, man, so excited to be at CBGB's, like the whole New York hardcore, like the story behind and everything. And I remember we got like surrounded by all these like crazy skinheads, and one of them was Jorge from that later was in Unino.
And who tried out for Sepultura too later on.
Yeah, same guy. And
I managed Marauder, yeah, of course.
And he was like, "Oh man, I'm from Puerto Rico, like all this stuff. Like I'm a Latino also." And we were like, "Oh my God, this is crazy," I mean, like, because for us, we never met like skinheads before, you know. So it was pretty crazy night. And then after that, we went out for some pizza with Howie, who wrote the Sick of It All book. And
Howie Abrams, of course.
And I don't know if you know the rapper Ill Bill.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, he was with us also eating pizza.
Ill Bill's brother is
Necro.
Necro, right?
Yeah. I also did some stuff with him.
I like Ill Bill. They're Jewish guys from Brooklyn.
Yeah. They were super cool with us, man.
Yeah, they're nice guys. Yeah, for sure. I mean, their music is really intense and out there, but they come from like a nice Jewish neighborhood in Brooklyn, you know.
Yeah, but I think they also had this whole metal thing behind them.
Yes,
you know what I
for
mean?
sure.
So like a lot of like the gore stuff of it comes from their, you know, background of being influenced by all the metal bands and shit. So I love all the stuff they do.
But that was a bold move. You thought you'd make an excursion down to CBGB's and go to a hardcore matinee?
Yes, it was history for me and Max, man. We were almost crying.
Wow.
And I have to say, man, for seeing Mackie for the first time, also for me,
wow,
that was insane. You know, I was like, dude, I worship this dude.
It was a special place, man.
Yeah.
How did you get how did Roadrunner come into your orbit? How did you get signed to Roadrunner, and who signed you?
Well, actually, we start to get, you know, a lot of people were into like the stuff that we're doing, a lot of fanzines in America. Mm-hmm. And then this guy had a radio show, and then Monty Connor was really good friends with them. And then my brother flew to New York with a bunch of records under his arm and left them with a bunch of labels. And then Roadrunner got into it and then contacted us. That's how he got signed.
And it was Monty that quarterbacked it?
Yeah, that was Monty. He was the dude behind it.
Monty Connor, the visionary.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. I mean, that guy really, he loved you guys, man. He's
awesome. He's also a really cool guy. And again, like he signed so many cool bands, you know.
And also, you know, who I remember loved you guys was Borvoy. Borvoy loved you guys, man.
Yeah, he was also part of the same crew of like those metal geeks.
Yeah, for sure. So you sign with Roadrunner. You do the Arise record, but let's skip a little bit. Let's keep it moving. But like, to me, what really spoke to me was KSAD. That was like the fucking hardcore record, bro. That was like your hardcore record. Like, Roots was cool. It was, you know, it was, you know, you were obviously going in that, but KSAD, with Andy Wallace producing, that was like a hardcore record, bro.
Yeah, and it's crazy because on the Arise tour, we toured with Sick of It All. We took them.
Oh yeah, right. That's right.
And also, like we played some shows with Biohazard, Sick of It All at that time.
Was that
so I guess that influenced us to do KSAD, you know?
Was that the New Titans on the Block tour?
Exactly, man.
There it is. Boom.
Yeah, and there's some mentioning on the brothers, you know, like on their book about it, which it's an amazing book, by the way, where Lou and Pete, they talk about the times that we took them on tour, and it was amazing, man. They're one of my favorite bands. Yeah,
for sure. So out there with Sick of It All, and it's like the how do you say it? The billing is moving here, because the last flyer we looked at, it was like King Diamond, Sacred Reich, you know, Sepultura. Now it's like Sepultura's on top, Sacred Reich, Napalm Death, you know?
Yeah, there's even a crazier flyer of a New York show we did with Biohazard, like White Zombie, all this.
Oh, I know that. I have that.
Yeah.
I think that was Biohazard, Typo Negative, White Zombie, and you guys, right?
Yeah, that was crazy also.
That's what this is. Someone sent this to me. That's what this is at the hold on, it'll pop on. The New Titans on the Block Rock Hotel presents at the Ritz. Yeah. Once again at the Ritz, Studio 54.
Yeah, man. But that was crazy because it was like White Zombie, Typo Negative, Biohazard, like a bunch of really amazing bands, man.
Yeah, for sure. So Chaos, you know, I was thinking about you recording back then, and Chaos AD, Epic Records was involved with that, right? Was it? Did they distribute it?
Yeah, only distribution. Yeah,
just distribution.
Yeah. We were not signed with them. We'd still Roadrunner.
You know what I love about that record and records from that era? It's before the whole digital thing came in. So like when I hear that record, like I can hear the room. You know what I mean? Man. It's like I could taste it. I could smell it. You know, and that record, I listened to a bit of it this morning, and like that's why I love like, you know, disco record. I love disco music, you know, because I can hear the room. Yeah, you know, man. Like I used to hate it growing up, but I love it now. And I mean, can you give me a take on how, like, in that era, there was before computers, right? It was everything. It was tape,
on tape, man. And funny enough, like Chaos AD was recorded here in the UK, in Wales, in the studio that, you know, Sabbath, Queen, all those people record, and Andy Wallace wanted to do it here. So we all came in and we went to this farm studio and did it. And it was, again, very raw, like, you know, no computers, no, like the editing, it was all done on tape. But also it captures, like you're saying, it captures like the really, the exactly atmosphere we were at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to further my case that it was your hardcore record, didn't our friend Jello Biafra, didn't he write some lyrics on that record?
Yeah, he wrote the lyric, because right before that we did a song for Alternative Tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
We did a cover of a Dead Kennedy song for their compilation, and then we asked Jello to write a lyric for us for Chaos AD. But then also before that, there's a video on YouTube where I played with Jello in Brazil. We played Holiday in Cambodia, and it was, I think, me and Andreas and the guys from Ratos de Porão, this other punk band. So we play, and then Jello was singing. It's an amazing video, man.
Wow.
And that was in Brazil. I think maybe 93, 94, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got Jello to do this, you know. So, and it's funny because he sent us a tape of how he wanted, you know, the lyrics to go, how Max should sing. And then we sample his voice in the beginning from the tape. And he got really mad because he was like, why did you guys sample my voice? You guys, you know, you should tell me I'll do it proper on a microphone, you know? And we're like, no, man, it sounded good on the tape, you know? Yeah. Jello's like, again, it's an amazing friend from many years ago, you know, like we still in touch with him every time we play either San Francisco or Denver, depending on where he is. He comes to the show and we hang out. He's awesome, man.
You know, I saw them early on in the game. I saw the Dead Kennedys in 81. They were a sight to behold. He was really, he was an incredible front man. You know, I think a lot of this generation, and I'm not trying to get into, back in the day in my time type shit. I don't like to do that, but he was, early on, he was quite the front man.
Yeah, man, he's amazing.
Yeah. Did the title Chaos AD, was that a bit of a takeoff on the Misfits Earth AD?
Yes.
It was?
I mean, every record.
It's your hardcore record, bro.
Look, Schizophrenia. It was taken from this band Ristatit from Finland, like this hardcore band.
Yeah. And
then Arise, it was from Amoebics, this punk band from here, from the UK. And then Chaos AD, it was a combination of like, we wanted to use the AD from the Misfits, but also we want to put a twist to it, like, so we chose Chaos, which again, it's a very hardcore like title.
Absolutely. You know, I got a little bit of a connection with all this because the back in that early Boston days that I was a part of, I met a guy who was he wasn't in our hardcore scene. He was kind of hanging around it. He was a filmmaker. He went to a college there, guy named Paul Rackman. And I was a cameraman on some of that infamous negative effects footage that ends in a riot at the Bradford Ballroom. I'm there. I was actually one of the cameramen. And so I knew Paul Rackman in Boston. Some of his friends were promoting shows, but turns out he went on to be a proficient filmmaker, and he directed the Territory video, which is one of my all-time favorite videos, bro.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. We flew to Israel to do that, and it was insane because they knew how tight, like they were the Israeli like politics behind, and because of the song, it's not really about it's about the controlling of the territory.
Mm-hmm.
So we filmed everything there, and then we had to send a guy a day before with all the footage separated from us, because otherwise they would confiscate all the stuff we filmed. So we had the guy who did the video. He actually flew a day before by himself with all the video stuff. Wow. And then when we got out of Israel, they were asking us all these questions. Were you guys in the desert? What were you guys doing? And we're like, yeah. Where's the footage? We're like, no, we're just taking pictures.
We went to the Dead Sea. We jumped in the Dead Sea. We hung out. We went to Masada.
Yeah. So it was pretty tough at the time because again, like it was done in without permission for any of that footage. Like
wow.
We just walked in, filmed like kind of like the Beastie Boys, And by the time like the army guys showed up, someone just had left already with all the video stuff.
Wow, that's a bold move, and I say that as a filmmaker, to go halfway around the world and to shoot something and just roll the dice, man.
Yeah.
Like that as a filmmaker. I don't know if I mean things were a little different back then,
Yeah, it was like pre-internet, so people didn't really know.
Yeah,
we were there. Like now, people know exactly where you are. You post a picture. Next 10 minutes later, back then nobody knew we were there at the time, so it was different, But still, they could lose all that footage.
That video really inspired me as a filmmaker. It really did. I mean, just what Paul did. I mean, Paul also did Bad Brains. He did a lot of videos. He did Bad Brains, Soulcraft, and he did a lot of great stuff. And he's a friend, and I go to him for advice. He helped me with the Ilago film. I showed it to him and got his take on it.
That's cool.
But that video really inspired me as a filmmaker, man. It really did. It was just really, really great. It still really resonates with me. It was just you grasped it, you grabbed it, man, at that moment. It was awesome.
And again, it was very political at the time.
Yes.
I mean, very turbulent times, and we were there filming, and it was funny because we did that video, and then I think Slayer did one in Egypt.
Yes.
So those are the two videos that MTV were showing, like very bizarre at the time,
Yeah. Marcos, our friend Marcos says, Evan from Biohazard wrote Slave New World with Max. Is that right?
I think he helped out a bit with the lyrics.
Yeah. Yep. Let me think. Let me think before we I ended up working with you guys in '95. I produced this in 1995. First time, we worked together. This was a Stone Films NYC production, and this was a cool gig. You guys sent a box of tapes that you guys, because you guys were documenting everything out on the road in those early days.
Yeah.
And we got this. This was Paris Mayhew from the Cro-Mags directed it. It was produced through my company, Stone Films NYC. But this was a great gig, man. And this came out on VHS. And those were the days when I think it went gold as a VHS, VHSs, man.
I have to tell you another funny story behind this is that I think Billy showed me a video that you're doing for them that I don't know even if it came out.
Right.
The Road.
Yeah. That's the one
and
I was
that was
doing.
one of the reasons that we went with you guys for this.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he showed me this home video that you guys should start to work with, and
Yeah.
you're editing all the road, and we got inspired by that to do the Third World Chaos video.
Yeah, that's the thing I shot for them called Chaos Ensues. It was never released by Warner Brothers, but it's funny because where is that stuff? Do I have it over here? Recently, I came across a box of High 8 tapes,
That's
and
cool.
yeah, wait, and this one too. Wait, here, I got it right here, man. Hold on. Yeah, where is this? Biohazard Whiskey. Here we go. Oh, this is great. Get a load of this, man. I came across this stuff recently, and I'm like, this is from that era we're talking about. Biohazard at the Whiskey in LA, a 4-camera shoot from 1990. I mean, a 4-camera shoot from 1995, and I just came across this like in the tapes, and this is High 8, and I'm like, you know what? I got to get a High 8 player. I got to transfer this stuff. I got to get into this shit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's. But that I have all those tapes, and I was fortunate, I was out on the road with those guys and doing that stuff. But yeah, that was a great gig, man. And Paris Mayhew from the Cro-Mags is a very talented guy. We did some good work together for a while there, and yeah, Paris Mayhew did some good stuff. That said, let's take a break for a second. Let me take a sponsor break. And when we come back, let's do Album of the Week with Syd the Kid.
Cool.
I'll see you in a minute. What's happening, boys and girls? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. It's alive. Sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics. Hold on. Let me get the paperwork. What's your rush? New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, Chain Reaction Records and Skateboards, Your Core Hardcore fan page, and the Texas Silver Rush. The Texas Silver Rush is a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rowley, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. During this current pandemic, all information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Also, while we're at it, Your Core Hardcore fan page. In the wake of the pandemic, Your Core Chris created Your Core fan page, utilizing lessons learned from over 20 years of being an educator and social worker. He decided to try to reach where hardcore punk and the surrounding genres of bands create not only their music, but their message. Their interviews are from a psychological perspective to harvest motivation, personal insight, and perspective. Please reach out to them on Facebook or Instagram if you have content to share or if you want to promote your band, Your Core Hardcore fan page. That said, is everybody behaving themselves in there? In the chat room, Melvin's, yes, Chaos ID was killer. Yes, killer show. Yep. Good to be back, and it's good to see everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And speaking of which, I have to shout out the Patreon page. Yes, there is a Patreon page, and you can support it. That's what makes this show happen. Your support. Don't be a Hatreon, join Patreon. Our Patreon is a community within a community. I've been posting all kinds of stuff that's never before been seen from my archive on there. Do special private shows. This show needs your support. Many of you have supported this show. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. There's also a PayPal page there. You can make a donation there. I want to announce another show coming up on February 14th from Absolution and Burn, Mr. Gavin Van Vleck, another old school New York hardcore thumper. So tune in for that, February 14th. Yo, Syd the Kid, you out there? Hey, Syd. Syd looks like this is good. This is good. Hold on. This is good. You guys are going to like this. Hold on. Get ready to laugh, kids. Hold on. Hold on. If you hold on. Okay. Hey, Syd. Hey, Syd. Wake up, Syd. Syd. Yo, Syd. Well, I guess we ain't doing album of the week. Huh? Wow. How's that? Syd, wake up. We have to do album of the week. Syd. Wow. That's pretty funny. That is funny. Wow. Good work, Syd. Wow. You know, it never gets old on this show, right? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That said, wow. You believe that shit?
I thought you killed him.
Maybe he's dead.
Oh my God, who killed Syd the Kid?
Syd the Kid. Syd.
Syd!
He's in the fetus position.
Wow, this is crazy.
Poor bastard. I hope he's still alive. Does he have the Madball shirt on?
Oh no. You know
Wow.
what it is? The Madball shirt came to life and killed him.
He's like in the fetus position. You had one job. Wow.
Wow.
All right.
That's
Crazy.
crazy.
Hey. Oh, I got a shout out. I'll talk to you in a bit. Yo, I got to shout out my old friend Kane Friesen. What's up, Kane? Big shout out. Wow. That is crazy. Well, you never know. Let's keep it moving here. What am I forgetting? Not much, but that said, let's bring our guests back on. All right, here we go. Yeah, somebody call Syd. Anyway, hey man.
What's up?
Wow. Well, if he doesn't wake up soon, we do it without him.
I guess our talk is really good, huh?
It is for some. You know,
Yeah.
he got Star Trek. I hope he's all right. You know, doing some research. One thing that I came across was here's this. Hold on. Someone just put in a super chat. Iggor, love the Death Kids collab. Adore that band.
Yeah, it's a new band from Brazil. They're amazing.
Tell us about that.
They're like, I think probably my favorite band out of Brazil right now, and they're like I don't know. Like I said, it's like another version of Motorhead. It's like a Motorhead on acid kind of thing, like psychedelic Motorhead with a Brazilian take on it. They're from outside of Rio. It's like really, really amazing. And then I did like a split with them with this other band that I do called Peprick, which is like this noisy experimental thing. And it came out on New Rot Records, which is the Neurosis guys' label.
You have Delayed Records. Tell us about Delayed Records.
Well, actually, Delayed Records is just me and my wife, and we put out a few records of people that we like, and it's really small, really underground, and it's pretty much out of necessity. It's just stuff that we wanted to release here in the UK, and then of course like online. But that was it. It was no big plan of having a label or anything like that. It was just stuff that we love musically. Yeah. But we couldn't find a home for it, so we end up doing it ourselves.
Well, it's an interesting world, that we live in. It's a double-edged sword because in some regard, you can really get your stuff out there now. And if there's a demand for it, case in point, this show, it finds a home. And back in the day, it would never happen like that,
Exactly. And I think it's really important to point also because a lot of people just look at the negativity of the internet. But this is really cool. There's a lot of people curating their own ways of watching shows on YouTube, of hearing music in different platforms, and they're not getting their stuff like shoved on their throat like MTV used to do back in the days, or any other radio stations.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a lot more curating done by people today, which they pretty much tailor their musical tastes, and that's really cool.
I got another super chat from Gustavo. He says, Igor, have you kept up with the newer Brazilian thrash bands like Sura and Damn Youth, or maybe some a bit older like Violator?
Well, I know those bands that he's talking about, and like I said, there's so many cool Brazilian bands. I mean, Deaf Kids is one of them. There's a band called Test, and they're kind of like more like in the grindcore vibe to it. There's a band called Desalmado, which is it's an amazing band also. So yeah, so Brazil, it's always up there with a lot of cool music, and I try to keep up with a lot of the underground stuff.
For sure. And this was actually going to be what I was leading into. I was looking at this Dynamo lineup from I think 95. This because it was like the Roadrunner Dynamo. It's legendary.
Yeah.
Right? It was right. It was like Biohazard, Madball, Fear Factory, and Nailbomb played. And I think it was it the only time Nailbomb. Tell us a little bit about, for those that may not know, what Nailbomb was, and I believe, was that your only show?
I think so. We did, of course, like we did like a club show before the Dynamo Festival, but it was the only live performance from Nailbomb. And Nailbomb was a project that Max was doing at the time with Alex Newport from Fudge Tunnel, and it's very inspired by like industrial music, kind of like, 9 Inch Nails, like Ministry, that kind of stuff. And then we got asked to do Dynamo at the time, and I play on the record, but also I did the show. And funny enough, it was me on the drums and Peligro from the Dead Kennedys. He played a few of the other tracks on that gig.
You split the drum. You split the drumming.
Yeah. So we asked him to play a few tracks also. So that was cool. Because again, Peligro is definitely one of my favorite drummers of all time.
Didn't Dino play a little bit on that record?
I don't know if Dino did any. I think it was mainly Max and Alex at the time.
Got it. Yeah, that was the sort of legendary Dynamo year.
Yeah,
man.
they even had Doggy Dog, right?
It was It's crazy. I looked at it the other day. Typo negative. It's like one after the other, after the other, after the other. It was nuts.
Maybe they had a deal with Roadrunner.
Yeah, that seems like the case. How about this is, and I know we're poking back and forth here, but I want to ask you about touring and playing shows. And I know you guys kind of did this early on, but you guys played a good amount of shows with Motorhead early on, didn't you?
Yeah, man, we did.
Now,
and
go ahead.
We have some amazing stories. I mean, I got to see Motorhead and play with Motorhead when Filthy Animal was still on the drums.
Right, that was my question. Yeah.
For me, that's the Motorhead that I love. More than anything, it's definitely with Filthy on drums, because for me, he is the inventor of the hardcore beat,
of the double bass.
No, but even like the D beat, what they call like the discharge beat. Yeah, I mean, like, Filthy was doing like, he was just speeding up punk stuff,
Yeah,
that was his shit.
Yeah. Well, he was an old kind of skinhead kind of. He was a piece of work, man.
He was a bad boy.
He was a handful, that dude.
Yeah, he was amazing, man.
Yeah, I guess this is you and your brother from that tour.
Yeah, that's it. And funny enough, this story, Max ended up like getting super drunk. And there's a few more pictures of this where he threw wine all over Lemmy. And then Lemmy was like, dude, what the fuck? Like there's all these crazy stories. And then I have a really cool story with Lemmy also, which I do a lot of drawings, like caricatures kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I start doing Lemmy everywhere we played on the tour with Motorhead, like on the catering and everywhere. And then on the last day of the tour, Lemmy came up to me and he was like, I heard it's you doing my drawings. And I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. And yeah, those are some of my drawings. and then Lemmy was like, Merry Christmas. And then he gave me his book signed, which crazy enough, I have it here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this is it.
There you go.
Signed.
You weirdo.
Yeah, because I kept doing the drawing, he called me a weirdo.
Yeah, you got to do something with those drawings, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're fun. You know, I do that on the road, like usually on dressing rooms. I used to do a lot of drawings on the walls and stuff. Yeah, that's Lemmy with the sticker from my project.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a great guy, man. Always like, you know, very missed. But one of the coolest guys in the business.
Did you guys do shows when Mickey was in the band, or who was?
Yeah.
John Joseph told a funny story about what was the other middle drummer from Saxon? Phil Gill.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, there was the drummer for Saxon was in Motorhead in between. It's some in between point. But did you do shows with Mickey too?
Yeah, he was super cool also, man. Really cool guy. Like, you know, like, and I actually, it's funny enough, like he was with King Diamond at one point.
Yeah, of course.
And we're on the same label and stuff. So we had a bit of a background with Mickey D also.
Yeah, he here it is. Yeah, Pete Gill. That's right. Thank you, Christopher Hoffman. Pete Gill was in Saxon, and he did like a cycle with Motorhead. He was on a record, and he was on.
Yeah, I never got to see that.
Yeah, and he was on a tour. But Mickey D, man, I sat behind him at a Motorhead show. I was on stage, and I sat behind him at an Ozfest or something. Wow.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
Woo-hoo! That guy. It really, really incredible. Let me see what. Let me get rid of that. So, I mean, I don't want to get into the muck. We talked about it a million times, but you know, after Roots, I mean, Roots was just a huge record, man. And you went a little bit of a different direction there with really the tribal stuff, and which was really in a way you really before your time, you know, before you were sort of first to go to that well where you sort of went back to your roots. What was the catalyst to that?
I mean,
after the hardcore record.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
we're experimenting with a bunch of stuff, and we felt. I remember I had this talk with Max, where we felt that there was no way to go any deeper in our roots than to do something with the Brazilian tribes, and that inspired us through the whole record. It was like a whole inspiration on how, you know, like they were there before anyone, and they were already making music.
Yeah.
So it was like the deepest connection you can find, in my opinion. It's the natives of Brazil, you know, and to have a chance to go there and record with them, it was amazing, you know, and that's something that it's crazy because I also, like, I'm doing my YouTube channel as we speak, and then my next episode, it's on the Chavantes tribe from the Roots record. So I explain how I did the drums with them and how it was so it was really cool, man, you know. And I have to say, like, Roots, it broke a lot of barriers, you know, like we're talking from
it did
people like Dave Grohl, like Moby, all those people at that time, they were paying attention to what we were doing, and that was really special. And then, of course, like, not everyone loves it. There's people that they don't think it's our best record. They think, you know, they like Arise, they like Beneath the Remains, and it's all good. But it was a necessary record at that time where we were really pushing the limits of music. And that from that moment, we influenced a lot of bands to look into their roots. Even like Norwegian black metal bands start doing stuff with their roots. So I think that the album, it has a big, you know, like step in the right direction of breaking barriers and also people being more open-minded. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Oh,
How do you feel? How do you feel about Roots today?
I think it's still relevant. It's still a very cool record, you know, as far as like if you listen to from beginning to the end, it has a lot of really cool elements to it. You know, again, it was done in a very crazy way where we record a lot of stuff that were jams that became songs. And then we had Andy Wallace involved, which was he was already on Chaos AD. Yeah. And then he came in on Roots to do the mixing and editing of the record. So he was a big part on the production side of it. So it's still a very special album for me to this day.
You know, there was some chatter. I know Jamie Justice sort of said, you know, he sort of feels like that's like a new metal record. And I guess, you know, everybody has their take on it. To me, I never thought that was a new metal record. Like, to me, you know, to me, it really stood. I mean, I guess, like you said, the tuning, maybe there's a little bit of an association.
Yeah. I mean, I
but I never thought of that as a new metal record, man.
No, I think I can understand where people would feel that way in certain, but that's like a very, I don't know, like very shallow analysis of it.
Yeah.
Because if you go deeper into the record, it's way more than that.
Yeah, well, listen, I guess someone picked up on it. Do you think Roots started new metal, or Sepultura was inspired by new metal that was going on? It was in the air, man.
Both, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, Syd, you're awake now, huh? Oh, let's do record of the week. This will be fun. Hold on. But you know what? Before that, Igor, let's talk a little bit about what's happening with your YouTube channel and with your Patreon. What's happening with your Patreon?
Well, that's the thing, you know, because I'm not doing any gigs with any. I'm doing mostly studio work. I have time to focus a little bit on my drumming, and then I started this YouTube channel where I do an X-ray of a lot of tracks, and I'm gonna be doing through the whole history of my drumming. And then the Patreon thing is just a way to connect even more if you are a bit more of a geek drummer or a fan. Yeah. So you have like a lot of context, like a lot of crazy stuff, like my personal drums. I send to you just the drums so you can practice over and over to get. So all those kinds of things are part of the Patreon. And then the YouTube, it was just an idea that I had for a long time, but didn't have time. And of course, by not touring at this moment, I do have time to focus on doing these videos. Sorry.
I saw some of it, and it's incredible. You're breaking everything down and explaining it, and it's just even I have to say this, even as I'm not a drummer.
Yeah.
I must say, I love hearing it. I understand it, you know, but just hearing, you know, the music theory behind it is incredibly interesting and enjoyable to myself.
Yeah, because again, it's not so much of a technical side of it. It's more like where I was at the time when I wrote those drum beats.
Yeah.
What influenced me? What drummers? What ideas? You know, like for example, Territory. I speak about the riff of Territory, the drum riff. It was inspired by Primus, by the drummer from Primus. And then later on in the track, there's a whole section where I was very inspired by John from Helmet. So all those things, you know, you don't get to see every day your favorite drummer speaking about what influenced them at that time, you know. So that was my idea behind the YouTube. It's not really that technical on like what kind of sticks I use, what kind of snare. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more on the spiritual side and also like the inspiration for it.
Right on. Let me make sense of this from Gustavo. I met this drummer from Germany who was on tour in Brazil. He started to play the drums because of Iggor. When I told him CC, which I assume is Cavalera Conspiracy, was going to play an SP, I don't know, SP, he dropped out of his own tour to watch Cavalera Conspiracy with me.
That's pretty crazy.
All right.
That's a cool story, man. You know what I mean? Like, I hope he didn't get fired from his gig. But
oh, here we go. Here he is. This German drummer's name is Stefan. He has a huge Sepultura S covering his whole back.
Damn.
He literally cried when we got the tickets for the show. Him and I have been brothers ever since.
That's awesome, man.
Music will do that, man.
Yeah.
Music is the universal bind, and it is the language. It's the tie that binds us together, and that's what is so incredible about music. You know, with all this politics and all this bullshit, music, man, music is really.
That's what it's about, man.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking about the roots thing that you were talking about, and I'm doing a new film that really deals with the blues in a certain way, and part of the theme of the film is that everywhere I go, and I was in the Middle East, each country sort of has its own blues, you know, and you know, what is the blues really, you know, and what reminded me when you were saying is that in a certain regard, you know, this music you're talking about is really the blues, the original blues music of Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, it's very important for us to pay attention to the sonics of the place before we were here, like from way back, and that can help us to write new stuff, being influenced by the past. And I think it's really important what you're doing, or anyone, to go to your roots and really try to dig a little deeper for those, you know, like influences that can be very, very necessary in the future.
I think it's interesting in the regard that, and I know you relate, when we were younger, we just sort of bulldozed past all this stuff, you know, and it was only later on that we sort of have the maturity to circle back and really understand it and appreciate it.
Yeah, and I totally understand how, being at that age where you really thrive on the raw power of certain things, you know, and that's fine also, you know. And then with age, you become, I guess, more sensitive to certain things, and you start paying attention to certain things that when you're young, you just going for it.
Absolutely. Let's clear the deck here. Let me clear the deck, and I'm looking forward to doing this one. Let me get rid of this. Everybody get out of here. Okay. All right, Syd. How was your nap there, Rip Van Winkle?
I don't know. You tell me.
Hey, the whole world saw you sleeping there like a little baby in the you know.
Well, hey, actually, shout out to Lenny for actually calling me, even though I had the phone on silent.
All right, here we go, Syd. Shake the cobwebs out of your head, because I really want to do this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, this is Syd the Kid Album of the Week. Here we go.
Alrighty.
Bam.
Give me a second here. Okie dokie. Hold on. Wait. Sorry. You just had a quick technical difficulty there. Sorry.
Get it together.
So, yeah. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those albums that you would think you wouldn't see this on the show, but hey, it had to be covered. And today it's going to be, you know, what you see right here. It's going to be, you know, I'm going a little bit with the rock and roll kick, and this is into the, you know, the melodic vibe with it, you know, what's going on today. This is Queen's 6th studio album entitled News of the World by Queen, which was recorded at Basing Studios and Wessex Studios in London between July to September of 1977. The album was produced by Mike Stone and the band themselves, and was later released later in October of 1977 in the UK. And I believe early November it came out in the States. You know, the front LP, the artwork itself is so iconic. You know, it's reinterpreted from the cover of Astounding Science Fiction, a magazine issued back in October of '53. The inside artwork was first created by Hal Hefner of Fantastic Planet in 1973. Then Frank Kelly was inspired to basically use a lot of that artwork in both the concepts to do this record. You know, even in 1977, you know, punk rock, it being on the rise at the time, was most notably Sex Pistols, sparked massive backlash against progressive rock artists such as Queen, to which, you know, the band responded by simplifying their, you know, their sound, gearing more toward more spontaneous, you know, hard rock sound. The album subsequently went 4 times platinum in the States, reaching number 3 on the Billboard 200. And, around the world, it was such a big thing. And, in the end, it sold over 10 million copies, and it is one of the best selling studio albums to date. For me, honestly, this is 1970s rock and roll, best interpreted, but it has such a structured sound to it that you could appreciate, to this day. And, when you have, the most 2 iconic songs on that record, you hear it at stadium event. Well, when pre-pandemic, you were hearing them at sporting events like all the time. Like that's how big this album is.
Yeah, man. I mean, this album here, Igor, does this album resonate with you at all? I know. I think you said you saw them play a little after this, but
yeah, I saw them at the game, that was the record that they were touring at the time in Brazil. But they were definitely a huge influence of me and Max starting a band, because we saw them as the first rock concert that we ever been. And I remember seeing Roger Taylor, the drums, the whole thing. It was quite amazing. So yeah, it's an amazing band that did a lot of crazy records, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of also pushing the limits of creativity in a lot of ways, through their history. So yeah, it's very appreciated, in my book.
This record was big for me, man. I mean, when this record came out, I was a young teenager, and it's like we said, it's one of those things. In retrospect, the songs now are sort of, we've heard them a million times. We Will Rock You and all that. But at the time when that record first came out, this record was mind blowing. And they came and played New York on I wrote it down, December 1st and 2nd, 1977. They played Madison Square Garden. I was 14 years old. I was just a little too young to be able to handle getting tickets and going. So and a couple of my friends went, and it was a big deal. It was the Queen News of the World tour at Madison Square Garden. And man, this record really resonated for me as a 14-year-old. And it's interesting because I looked at it today. There's 3 songs on this record that are not sung by Freddie Mercury. 2 of them are sung by Brian May, and one of them is sung by Roger Taylor. It's just a great record, man.
Yeah.
Love this record. Queen was great, man. Just love them.
I mean, Queen, even throughout their entire span of being a band, every record was always different. It was never the same thing. They always try to be progressive of what they did in every record they did. Every time was not the same. It was always different. That was the one thing about that band compared to most, even at the time. They felt, you felt like they were a step ahead of everybody else for what they were doing.
Absolutely. Syd, thanks, man. You got a show? You got a show today?
Oh, yeah, we forgot the little ticker, Drew. I forgot to mention
the ticker.
Yeah, ticker. All right, guys. So I won't be falling asleep in the next 45 minutes. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, I'm glad you got some sleep during my show, so your show, could be on point.
Well, hey, just like you're a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. We're all busy. But anyway,
Go
guys.
ahead.
So yeah, I'm gonna be doing about an hour or so of punk rock, hardcore, all that fun, kooky shit. Jump over to mixlr.com/SDK sound system. You can download the app for free on your Android, iOS device, or if you're on the computer like we are right now, you just log on to the computer and all the information is there. And I do have some very special announcements I'm going to save, but that will be in March. So I'm really I've been putting a lot of work into it, and I'm looking so much. Like I said, it's gonna be amazing come March. The guests I have lined up, and it's gonna be amazing.
All right, brother. Thank you, Syd.
Thank you, guys. And once again, shout out to everybody who caught me sleeping because I didn't see it yet.
You got it, bro. You got nailed.
All right, cheers.
See you later. All right.
I was sleeping, man. Sorry. Who was that?
Yeah, right. You never know what happens on this show, bro.
Yeah, I missed something.
It's unbelievable. I want to ask you, let's go this way with it. So without getting into the the rigmarole. At a certain point, you get back together with your brother, with Max, and you start the Cavalera conspiracy. Tell us about it.
It was funny because it was after I left Sepultura. My son was about to be born.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my wife telling me, like, man, you know, your son's going to be born. Max's son is called Iggor, which is a homage to you. And then my son, it's called Antonio, which is Max's second name.
Mm.
In case people don't know, his name is Massimiliano Antonio Cavalera. So my son has his name. So she was like, this is crazy. You guys need to meet up, you know? So I listened to my wife and I took a plane to Phoenix and just showed up at his door. Did
he know you were coming?
Yeah, I talked to him on the phone for a bit, but then I was like, no, we need to do this face to face.
Were you already out of Sepultura, or were you still in the band?
No, I was already out.
You were out at that point.
I was just taking a whole year off to take care of my son who was just born.
Right.
So I left the band and I was just being just the dad for a bit, and then I went to see my brother, and it was amazing. But then, of course, because my brother is a workaholic, the next thing he said to me was like, let's play some music. And I remember, like, the only thing that I told him, it was like, look, I'm all up to play music as long as we write some new music.
There you go.
If it's, you know, if it's something new that we just do at the moment, I'm in. And that's how we started Cavalera Conspiracy.
That makes sense. Yeah. And you play with a friend of ours that was on the show, Mark Rizzo. And
who's that? No, I'm just kidding. the New Jersey guy.
That dude Rizzo.
He's a beast, man.
Oh my God. He's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, he's been doing stuff with my brother for quite a long time, and you know, like he's an amazing guitar player, and I'm glad we get to share the stage together, man.
He is an incredible talent, man. I really enjoy his playing. You know what I wanted to touch on? Here's a shot. I know we kind of left, but you and I spent some time out on the road while you were still in Sepultura.
Yeah,
we did a Sepultura Biohazard tour, and boy, that was a really fun time, man.
That was great, man.
We went all across America, and it was great, man. It was really.
I also remember that time that we got to hang out a lot on the Pantera tour, man.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah,
that was also fun pre this, but this tour was amazing too, man.
Yeah, this was good. I mean, you know, Biohazard. I think I was tour managing or road managing.
You were, man.
Yeah. If you want to call it that.
Yeah, you were bossing those guys around.
Woo, boy, we had fun, man.
That was a great tour, bro.
It was. It really was, man. It was really nice. Before we take some questions, I just want to make sure. Let me just see, make sure I don't want to miss any photos here. Hold on, let me see. You know, I always kick myself. Here's a good one I just want to throw up. Just want to mention this. I guess, you know, this seems like a Roadrunner thing. I know we're going back here, but this is a flyer for King Diamond, Sacred Reich, Sepultura, and Toxic at the Ritz in New York City. I guess this is that show, I guess, that Roadrunner flew you over for.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's just a different flyer, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
And I guess some other bands got added to the bill because it was like such a special Halloween thing. So maybe that was the first thing they were sending to people, you know.
Yeah. Let's take some. Wait, you know what? Let's do this real quick, or not real quick. Let's talk about Mixhell a little bit, and how did you? We haven't really touched on this, and also Soul Wax. I know you always had a love for techno music, or in lack of a better term, early techno music. I remember back then we were talking about. How did that come into your orbit, and how did you develop such a passion for it?
Well, that was the thing. Like after I left Sepultura, I started doing a few DJ gigs in Brazil. And then I was always with my wife at the time. She would come with me. And then we decided to start DJing together, like back to back, playing records. And that was the beginning of Mixhell. And then after that, we started to remix a few bands and start doing our own like production. And that was 15 years ago when I started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And still to this day, like we do a lot of that stuff here in London. And it's really cool because, again, it's an experimental thing. It's something that I always had like a big tendency of liking, from industrial music to early like hip hop and rap and stuff like this. I'm always being super open-minded, and Mixhell is just like like, I don't know, like it's like a little kid, one more of my sons that I try to put a lot of really cool energy into it.
That makes sense. Let me see. People are sending me all kinds of stuff. Hold on. Some of it's pretty good. Hold on. Let me just, here's a good, wow. People wait. Hoya from Madball is asking, ask Igor if he remembers 42nd Street interview we did with them in Biohazard? Huh. I'm not sure. Sure what that means.
Hoya, man, he's the best.
Yeah, he is.
Shout out to him, man. I love that guy.
Yeah. Here's a shot that someone just sent me that's really great. Hold on, you got to see this one. We move quick on this show, How about this? You guys, this is a great shot in front of CBGB's.
Yeah, that was it, man.
That is awesome.
That was like that time that we got to see Iceman at CBGB's. And then, of course, we had to take a picture there because, again, it's one of those places where, like it's history, man. It's like, for me, it speaks louder than the Beatles and all that stuff,
Is that the whole band?
Yeah.
The whole band went down there, huh?
Yeah. I mean, but only me and Max went to the gig. There was like this was during the day, like we're walking around and we went to buy some records, and then we were in front of it. But at the gig, it was just me and Max.
That's great.
Paulo was too scared.
Yeah. Can't say I blame him, bro. It was kind of a scary place.
Yeah.
It was, and it's.
But it was worth, though.
It's a bit of a sad case because New York hardcore was very violent at the time, and there was a big sort of mob mentality, and people were getting beaten up just because they were different. And sadly, it was a bit of a dark time in New York hardcore. And but there's an ebb and a flow to this thing called art.
Yeah, we took our chances though.
You did. So let's take a question from our resident historian, Mr. Chucky Brown. He says, in 1989, they played a show in Mexico in a Lucha Libre arena. When they were about to play, the promoter told them the opening band, Trans Metal, blew out the PA. Can he speak on that?
Yeah, man. That was this show is on YouTube.
Is it?
It's crazy, man.
What is it? Sepultura?
If you put Sepultura Mexico, it should be the first one that pops up.
Okay, go on. Let me find it.
And this show, it's like one of the coolest
Mexico,
things we ever did.
1989. Is that it?
Yeah, man.
Oh wow, this looks crazy, bro.
It is crazy, and if you realize that the PA wasn't working, all they were getting is the sound from the stage. It's even crazier. Yo.
Opening band blew out the PA.
Sorry, I think you got you froze for a bit.
The opening band blew out the PA?
Yeah, and then the promoter came in and he was like, guys, what do you guys want to do? You want to cancel or you want to play? And we were like, no, let's try. You know, if it really sucks, we can play, then we need to cancel, but let's go out. And it was seriously one of the best shows I ever done in my life without the PA.
Wow.
It was sick, man.
And everybody sang along?
Kids were singing way louder than Max, man. All the crazy lyrics, man. It was insane.
All right, hold on a second. Let's play some of this. Yeah, I got it. I found it. Woo-hoo-hoo! Holy mackerel. All right, hold on a second. This is nuts. Wait, hold on. I got to... Oh, man. I got to... All right, here we go. Hold on, give me a second.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Borovoy filmed this from the stage. Yeah, that's it. That's the gig.
Woohoo!
It looks like a Mexican party, right? Come on, man.
Wow. And so no PA.
No PA, man.
That is wild, man. I mean, I got to figure that for a lot of bands in Latin America, you guys coming there, it must have been incredible for you guys to tour these places and show up for the first time.
Yes. I mean, especially places like this, we're talking like, like we were the first people exposing like Latino, like especially metal and like extreme music at that time. So it had an extra special feeling for them. They felt like they were part of this. You know what I mean? Like I remember one time we played Tijuana, which is right by San Diego.
Where did you play? What was that place in Tijuana? The place
Iguanas.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Place,
yeah.
man.
It's out of a movie, right?
Oh my God. It was like out of Mad Max Road Warrior, that place.
Exactly, man. And
right?
I remember the promoter told us that the only band that drew more like Latino fans than Americans crossing the border to see the gigs, it was us and Suicidal at that time. He said all the other bands would get a lot of like American kids coming in to see the gigs from San Diego. Mm-hmm. And then he said the two bands that would draw a lot of like local guys from Tijuana and stuff in Mexico, it was us and Suicidal. The rest, it was mostly half and half.
Incredible. Hey, I got to do one last sponsor shout out, and then let's come back and take some questions.
Cool.
All right. What's happening? Great show. It's good to see everybody again. Missed you all. Thank you for supporting the show. Our guest today is Igor Cavallara, formerly of Sepultura, Mixhell, the Cavalera Conspiracy, and Soul Wax. I promise. Wait, I got something for you. Hold on. I have something for you. And now for something completely different. I want to talk to you. I've saved this organic grill. I was sent home. This is from Organic Grill. I was in there last night, and Vlad hooked me up. This is from Organic Grill. How yummy does this look? It is a pepper steak sandwich, rainbow roasted bell peppers, mushrooms, onions, melted house-made soy cheddar cheese from the Organic Grill. Organic Grill is a vegan restaurant located at the East Village of New York City at 123 First Avenue, featured in New York Magazine, the New York Times, and Veg News. Their dishes have won numerous awards, including Best Veggie Burger They make their own cheeses, sausages, and burger patties, and every dish on the menu can be made gluten-free for all you gluten-free motherfuckers. This year, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary, and they're all about having a great time while enjoying amazing, clean food. After 3 months of being closed, they're now open for deliveries. Get in touch with them. Order some great food at www.theorganicgrill.com. It is yummy. This is my dinner. Thank you for being a great sponsor, Organic Grill. There you go. I'm sure that got your attention, huh? Yep, we love Vlad. Good guy. Yep, it is. It's really good. He's a great sponsor. Listen, yeah, it's like, yep, it's yummy. And that's what I'm eating. That's what I'm eating after this. So that said, I want to announce another show Sunday, February 21st. We are excited to have from Wisdom in Chains. We got Joe Oliver coming on the show. There you go. Sunday, February 21st, episode number 102 with Joe Oliver from Wisdom in Chains. The hits keep coming. Looking forward to talking to Joe. Hardcore soldier. That said, I think I covered everything else. Thank you, Al Baril, for the cool SSD control gear, all the cool stuff you sent me. Also, if you're watching the show in rerun, there is a subscription button there. Please subscribe to the show so you get alerts for the show. You know you love it. You know you want it. So do that. Also, if you have a communication device on this planet, please follow me on Instagram. That's where everything's happening. There it is. I am Stone Films NYC on Instagram. Don't be shy. Also, listen, I love to hear from you. People reach out all the time from all over the world. If you enjoy the show, if you don't enjoy the show, that's okay too. Listen, I get sick of it myself. I can only take so much of myself. You think I like to do this shit over and over again? Some things I don't. So whether you like it or whether you're not, I like to hear from you. Any suggestions on who you like to see on the show, feel free to reach out. What else? New York Hardcore Chronicles Live merch. There's a link down there. Feel free to buy a t-shirt. There's lots of cool stuff. And that said, let's take some questions for our guest. Oh, you just joined my Patreon. Thank you. You are a new patron. Is that right? Thank you, bro. Hold on. Let me see how that, where is that? Let me see. Oh, you have a new patron, Jose Pepe Bayon. Well, thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. I really do. It's your support is what makes the show happen, honestly. A lot of work goes into the show, so it means a lot when you support it. What can I say? Here we go. Questions for Igor. Please post them up. Don't be shy. Let them fly. Let's have some fun with it. Let's bring back our guest, Igor Cavallara. Hey, man.
What up?
Yeah, the Patreon thing is cool, man. I wish you well with it.
Cool, thanks. Yeah. It's a cool connection.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's what's enabled this show to survive is that people love the show, and people. There is a contingent of people out there that make the connection between, hey, I love this show and I get a lot out of it. Let me support it.
Yeah.
Because, we live in this world now. Everything should be free. Everybody thinks everything should just be free. But hey, man, doing a show like this, this is what I do for a living, Yeah.
I mean, and the whole thing is, it's like, of course, not everyone has the money to do it, but if you do, the important part of it is that you're supporting someone straight in. There's no, this money, it's going to help your favorite musician, your favorite artist, your favorite video maker, whatever. Yeah. So I think that's the cool thing about it. There's no one else taking a cut of this,
It's an absolute direct way. Yeah. To deal with people that are supporting you, and like I said, it's a really interesting world, as a filmmaker, because for many years, in a lot of ways, I was boxed out. I had to go through certain the only way I could do music videos is through so now I live in a world where I don't need anybody. I can make films, I could do shows like this, and I have an audience out there that responds, and I'm very fortunate for that. Yep. Here we go. Let's start with there's a lot of them. Let's start with let's go with this one. Favorite hardcore drummers.
Oh, that's good. That's a good question.
It is a good one.
All right, so let's try a top 5 here. So definitely Armand from Sick of It All. Mackie for sure. Cro-Mags and Iceman and other stuff. Let me see who else. I'll throw in actually another Cro-Mag drummer, the new one.
Gary?
My man G-Man, he's amazing.
Yep.
Also, like, he's in the mix of this. Let me see, Roy Mayorga.
Oh boy,
I remember him back in the days with Nausea and all that stuff. So he's definitely one of my favorites. Oh man, of course, like Sammy, which I watched the show with Sammy. Like,
he's a lefty.
Yeah, man. Every time he comes to London, we hang out. He's an amazing guy. I get to watch him from the side of the kit, and I'm always like impressed on
it's
how
incredible.
He is, man. So so those are a few of my favorite hardcore drummers.
Fantastic. Thomas Starkey asks, how did the Mike Patton collaboration on Roots come about?
Well, Mike is a good friend to this day. I talk to Mike a lot. He's one of my best friends. And I remember we just called him to see if he wanted to do something on Roots. And he just came in and laid down some vocals, for Look Away. And yeah, he's again, a cool friend. And we always talk about music, about collaborations and things like that. So that's how it came about. It was more like a friend thing. We
Antidote but before this whole thing hit, we played with Mr. Bungle.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it was Scott. Scott Ian was playing guitar and Lombardo was playing drums. Yeah, it was a great show, and it was really nice that they reached out to me and asked if Antidote would. They wanted a New York hardcore band on the bill.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was really. It was really nice. Oh yeah, I remember this one. This is an interesting one. From Kevin from the Rampage Mosh crew. Max blew out his knee when touring with Pantera. So they merged bands and played both sets together. How long they toured like that? And was there other bands they did Kiowa's Jam with while on the tour? I do remember your brother hurting his knee. I remember that.
Yeah. He messed up his knee. He had to do a surgery during that, but it was after the tour. And the Kiowa's thing, it was an idea that we had that we always brought people in to play the drums with us. Like we had Danny from Biohazard, like all kinds of, like, the guys from Pantera, and whatever bands we were on tour, we will bring them to this like tribal jam that we used to call. And play with us. That was like a fun thing to do every night,
Yeah, no, you guys would bring out a couple of drums, right? And everyone would be I remember it well. Yeah. Do you guys still do you guys do that in Cavalera Conspiracy, or do they do that?
We did a few things, like when we had some special guests, like like John from Helmet, who also plays with in Tomahawk with Patton. He was in a show in Germany, and then we asked him to do that, so he put some extra drums for him. And yeah, we still do, especially on the Return to Roots tour. We did a few of those jams.
In Human Nature's version of Final Conflict is as good or better than the original. Who was the idea to record this song for the Chaos AD sessions?
Yeah, it was a B-side, actually. Usually the label will ask us to do a few covers as B-sides for whatever, like or a bonus track for Japan. And the Final Conflict, it was definitely me and Max. We came up with the idea, and I'm glad that he liked it, because we try very hard to do a good job because the original is so good.
Wasn't Policia an extra track on that record too?
Yeah, Policia is
that rips.
That's from a punk band in Brazil. So like we always try to throw in. I mean, we did a version of a Cro-Mags version also in one of the B-sides, all kinds of stuff, Sabbath, whatever. Like,
what record are you most happy with in terms of your performance and drum sound?
Like I said, like the first few records, it was very difficult. I wasn't happy with my drum sounds or performance. I think, it reflects where I was at the time. But drum sound, I would say after Schizophrenia, which was like in 87.
Yeah.
That I start getting my drum sound better and better. But I think every record I try to keep my drum sound as true as possible of what I play without a lot of triggers and a lot of effects and delays and reverbs and things like that. I try to get a sense that you are in the room when I'm playing the drums. So I'm pretty happy with most records, except the first two.
In doing my homework here, I read that early on, you might have been swayed into using studio drum kits, but then eventually you realized you would bring in your touring kit and record with it, and that's what served you best.
Yeah, I mean, I remember because again, the minute that I start getting sponsored by like a drum company, I could ask them to provide some drums for the studio. But I remember asking Andy Wallace, like, what drum should I get? And he was like, no, just get the one that you play live, the one that you play, in the garage with the band. That's going to be the best drum sound because you're used to it.
Yeah.
And that was a big lesson.
That makes sense. May in London, your neighbor, when Strife played in London in 2019, Igor got up and did a song with them. Was that planned? It was sick because it was at the New Cross Inn, and it's teeny, but one of the best venues here in London.
Well, I have a long story with Strife. Strife was one of my favorite bands, like from the whole Victory era.
I'm sorry, and then Philip, this sort of says, can you talk about your involvement with the Strife records?
I think that goes with the whole thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
So every time Strife plays, and if I'm there, I do a jam with them. That's kind of like a deal I have with the guys.
Mm-hmm.
I either do a cover of like Black Flag or whatever, or I do one of their tracks. And I have this relationship, especially with Andrew, the guitar player. He's one of my best friends, and I play on a few of their records, and we just go way back. And Strife, again, it's one of those bands that we brought on the road, like on the Roots tour with us, and it was very special. So every time they play London or if they play in Sao Paulo, I'm in Sao Paulo, I always jump on stage and I have to do a song with them. That's cool. Like a kind of like a deal we have.
Drew, ask Igor about the hidden track on Chaos AD. It scared the shit out of me. Totally unexpected.
That's a good question. Because back in the days,
I don't even think I know there was a hidden track.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like back in the days when you have CD as a format, you could do this thing where if you, at the end of the last song, you could have something play like 10 minutes after. But the only way you could listen to that if you let it play. If you skip, it goes to the first song.
Yeah.
So we did this thing where we record a bunch of laughs in the studio. And we overlap those laughs with like delay and stuff. So it sounds really messed up. And that was the hidden track. And funny thing, some people would just let the CD play. And then those laughs would start and freak a lot of people out. They thought someone was in their house or like it was a spirit. It was like they had to call the exorcist. So that's the hidden track, man.
Hey, your friend Gary Sullivan, G-Man. Thanks, Otomano. G-Man. Yep.
That's it. That's my dude.
Hey, Gary. Thanks for watching, Gary. I appreciate it. Love to have you on one of these days. you know, when people ask something like this, I could almost answer it for you. What's your own personal favorite Sepultura album? You know, I'll answer it.
Yeah.
Albums are like, it's like your kids. It's like asking you to choose like which is your favorite one of your kids. I love all my kids.
Yeah, it's true. And then again, I could do a cool compilation of favorite tracks.
Yeah.
But not an album. You know, I could pick out of every album some that I find it my favorite, that sometimes it changed from time to time.
Yeah.
But I do not have a favorite record.
Well, you're proud of the work you've done, and
yeah, man. Even the crazy shit back in, the black metal shit back in the '84. I love that shit.
Listen, it's like that Star Trek episode when, you can't go back to the past and change a single thing, or it changes. We wouldn't be sitting here right now, and it changes the future.
Exactly, man.
We are a sum of all parts.
Yeah, man.
What about a new Camellia says? What about a new Cavalera Conspiracy album?
That's a good question. Also, I've been talking to Max about getting something together, even if it's remote.
Yeah,
but we definitely want to do this year something with Cavalera, even if it's like an EP. But there is a plan of a new Cavalera record. That's something that it is being brewed right now.
That makes sense. Another one from our resident historian, Chucky Brown, says, Ray Capo from Shelter told you that he went to India with a guru in the middle of nowhere, and he saw someone scratch Sepultura on a wall.
Yeah, I think Ray told me that story a long time ago. And it's one of those things where, like crazy, like before internet, like some kids in India were into Sepultura and wrote on the wall the name, like not even graffiti. I think they scraped like the name on the wall. And Ray saw that, and then one time I saw him, he told me about this, and I was like blown away. But at the same time, I do believe that even at those times, like the music would travel like crazy to crazy places and then affect different people.
You guys were a very, very special band at the time. You a lot of people's hopes and dreams were embodied in your band early on. You managed to get yourselves out of abject poverty and tour the world and get out there with the language of music, and that resonated with many, many people.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things that I know how special it is because I'm also a big fan of music.
Yeah,
and I remember being in a room back in the days listening to Black Sabbath or whatever with my brother. And that album would save our day when everything was shit, So I know the feeling. When someone says something like this, I can definitely relate to it.
And Gutegzi, Igor, no question, but I wanted to tell you that Sepultura and KSAD are incredibly important to me. You have changed my life in ways I can't even begin to describe. Thank you for everything, man.
Thanks, brother. Like I said, I do understand because I also feel that from different styles of music, different records that I buy, I do have that sense. Even now with the whole lockdown and people, not being able to tour, to travel, music's still a very important part. Not only music, but arts in general. I like sometimes what saves me is watching a good movie, reading something special, listening to a record. So I think it's really cool that people still have that feeling towards a certain artist or something that can touch their soul.
Let's do one or two more and we'll wrap it up. Thomas asks, did any New York hardcore bands reach you in Brazil in the very early days? Did any New York hardcore stuff make it real early on when you guys were growing up?
Of course, I would say like the band that still to this day, it's Agnostic Front, That's a band that I remember in Brazil listening to them and being like, man, I wish one day we could see those guys live, and I'm talking like even before Cause for Alarm, which was such an insane amazing record for, especially for someone who's like in between metal and punk all the time, trying to break those barriers, you know. And funny enough, like you're gonna have Sean, you know, Taggart, who did the artwork. That artwork is insane.
Yeah.
It's such like the devil skinhead thing. I have like the little, you know, like the toy, you know, art from it. And I mean, but I would say like definitely Agnostic Front, you know. And me and Max, we had a pleasure to call Roger to participate on a Cavalera Conspiracy song with us, and he was amazing. And I remember like seeing Hoya, and Hoya came up to me and Max, and he was like, "How the hell did you guys get to Roger to do like Cause for Alarm, you know, style on your record?" Because he sang with so much passion, man. And I think that's one of the most important bands, you know, I mean, in my history of New York, you know, like they represent so much.
Absolutely. They are a pillar, and we're very proud of them, you know, here in New York City. They mean a lot to all of us.
And they resonate all the way to Brazil, man.
Yeah.
At those times.
Yeah, there's a lot there with that band. And there's a lot there with Sick of It All as well.
Definitely, you know? But I think Sick of It All it was a bit later, you know what I mean?
For sure. Yes, for sure. I guess I was just referring to sort of the ethos of the band and the work ethic and what the band means to people, what it, you know, and you know, and I think a lot in the Agnostic Front case, it's the camaraderie between Roger and Vinny, and you know, that speaks to a lot of people about, you know, what hardcore is all about.
Definitely, man. You know? Especially for us, like, you know, having like a Cuban singer, you know what I mean? For us as Latinos, that was amazing to see, man.
Yep. I didn't know this. Did you guys tour with the Ramones?
Dude, we did a tour in Brazil with the Ramones, and it was they had an album called Acid Eaters. I don't know if you remember that.
That's a cover record, right?
Yeah, and they toured that record in Brazil, and it was called Acid Chaos, which it was Sepultura and Ramones headlining everywhere in Brazil.
Stadiums?
Some places was closer to stadiums, but not as you know, but big places, man.
They were huge there,
dude. Insane. They were so big, and I remember like me and my brother on the side of the stage every night. Joey would do a shout out to Sepultura, you know, before one of their songs, and me and Max were like crying, literally. We're like, this is the Rolling Stones, this is the Beatles for us, man.
Yeah.
So the Ramones, it's one of those bands for me. It meant so much, and to tour with them, it was mind blowing, man.
It's interesting, you know, that band worked so hard for so many years, and it's a shame that in a certain way they just couldn't hang in there a little while longer, you know, because just to see their music, the way it's been licensed, the way it's been accepted, you go to football games and you hear it, it just, you know,
every fashion model has a Ramones t-shirt, right?
all the success that eluded them for so many years, that they worked so hard, you know, and like all that pain and suffering, you know, now it's like they're bigger than they ever were, you know.
Wow,
it's
crazy, man. But they definitely were our heroes when we toured with them, and they were amazing.
Well, thanks, Little Freeman. It's so awesome to hear these amazing artists' insight and stories. Best thing to happen